Madam Clerk, would you like to do roll call?
Councilmember Bradegum?
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen?
Here.
Councilmember Bowie?
Here.
Councilmember Klopfenstein?
Here.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill?
Here.
And Mayor Jones?
Here. Can we all please rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag together? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
To the
Republic.
No sound.
To the motion. I have a couple of quick protocol items. Yeah.
Just wanted to suggest to the future, maybe one person does the pledge.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah. Couple quick protocol items before we dive in. Can I just ask everyone to keep your phones on mute unless you're speaking?
What's up with that?
Same for staff is please say your name and title whenever you come on to speak. With that, we will go into item 1A, which is a coronavirus update presentation by City Manager Scott Sass.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We've obviously, we have several presentations that we're going to make at the first part of this council meeting. It's been 3 weeks since our last meeting. So I'm going to make some overall remarks on things that have been happening since our last meeting. Then I'm going to ask our EOC Director and Police Chief, Tom DeRay, to talk a little bit about how the EOC is operating and public safety comments that he'd like to make. And then after that, we're going to have a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation by our Finance Director, Patricia Song, who's going to kind of walk us through what some of the preliminary thoughts are about where we are in terms of the financial situation related to the pandemic. And then at the end, we're going to conclude with a PowerPoint presentation by Lisa Kim, who's going to talk about some of their work with trying to put a program together that will help small businesses get information out, working with our hotels and our business community in general, and other things related to community development and housing. So we're going to go through all those. So before we get started, let me just go through some notes that I prepared for this evening. And I want to just remind the community that's listening that on Wednesday, February 26th, Orange County proclaimed a local emergency in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. In accordance with the state and county's response to the COVID pandemic, the city of Garden Grove has undertaken immediate health and safety measures aimed at reducing the spread and risks associated with the virus. The city has been closely monitoring state and county directives and guidelines to protect public health and slow the spread of COVID-19 in Garden Grove. As of this afternoon, the Orange County Healthcare Agency is reporting 1,299 cumulative positive cases to date, including 23 new cases reported today. Garden Grove is reporting out at 39 cases. Cumulative deaths to date is 19, which is no change from yesterday. There are 122 patients currently hospitalized, with 62 in ICU beds throughout Orange County. And I want to mention that the Orange County Healthcare Agency website is ochealthinfo.com, where all of the latest information, news, FAQs, and guidance can be found regarding COVID-19 pandemic. You can check these changing numbers daily. Now, from the City of Garden Grove standpoint, I want to continue emphasizing that the city government is open, functioning, and delivering critical services, albeit under restricted conditions. So I do want to emphasize that Garden Grove PD, Orange County Fire Authority, and our paramedics, EMTs remain fully staffed for first response. Public Works is on the job, maintaining important infrastructure throughout the community. Community Services continues to provide meals to seniors and children. The city also has a robust website, ggcity.org, that is constantly being updated to help provide COVID-19 information to the community. Our Emergency Operations Center, under the direction of Police Chief Tom DeRay, remains activated. City Hall, the Housing Authority, the Public Works Municipal Service Center on New Hope, our Family and Community Resource Centers, and our park facilities remain closed to the public. But service and business is shifted online by telephone, email, or mail. And I will note that our meals are still being distributed at our Senior Center and Buena Clinton and the Magnolia Family Resource Center. The community is encouraged to enjoy our green space areas while maintaining social distancing. Just a reminder about the upcoming canceled or postponed city-sponsored events. On April 18th, the Magnolia Park Family Resource Center 20th anniversary event is postponed. The May 22nd Call to Duty Police Memorial is postponed. The May 26th Garden Grove College Students Reception is postponed. And the May 22nd, 25th Strawberry Stomp and Strawberry Festival has also been canceled this year by the Strawberry Festival Board. Our local emergency declared by the city manager on March 17th was extended to April 17th, and it will need to be extended again this week in concurrence with Governor Newsom's executive order. The city continues to temporarily suspend street sweeping citations, water utility shutoffs, and retail truck restrictions, delivery truck restrictions. We've established a link on the city's webpage promoting local restaurants that are open for carryout orders. We're continuing to emphasize that panic buying, stockpiling is not necessary. The food supply chain is strong, and we are seeing reductions in shopping lines, which in return helps our officers and frees them up for police visibility. Finally, we have built informational links on our website from the state of California and other sources that offer guidance on applications for unemployment, disability benefits, paid family leave, and small business assistance, which you'll hear more about in a bit. As a touch point, on March 19th, our statewide shelter-in-place executive order was issued by Governor Newsom. And with this recap, I now want to share some chronological information on COVID-19 activities that have occurred since our last City Council meeting on March 24th. So on March 24th, we added unemployment, disability benefits, and paid family leave resource links to the city's COVID-19 page to provide guidance to the community. City Council approved a local emergency resolution to implement a moratorium on rental evictions and foreclosures through May 31st. On March 25th, the Orange County issued a directive to close all parking lots to county beaches, regional parks, wilderness parks, and county trailheads, as well as public restrooms, playgrounds, and park shelters. On March 26th, as mentioned earlier, our local emergency order for Garden Grove was extended to April 17th. On March 27th, a toll-free hotline for COVID-19 county resources was activated by the Orange County EOC, and that number is 813-426-6411. That's the county's hotline for COVID-19. And again, that number is 813-426-6411. Also on the 27th, an executive order issued by Governor Newsom announced a statewide eviction moratorium. On the 30th, an Economic and Business Recovery Call Center was made operational by Orange County Community Services. The call center operates Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and that number is 714-480-6500, and that's the county's Economic and Business Recovery Call Center. Again, that number is 714-480-6500. On April 3rd, Garden Grove Unified School District in-person classes were suspended through June 12th. At-home learning will continue through the end of the school year. A press release was issued by Orange County encouraging families to create a family preparedness plan in case of emergency. Also on April 3rd, I implemented cost containment measures put into effect immediately to mitigate the impacts of COVID-19. That included a hiring freeze with the city, with the exception of sworn public safety, critical dispatch positions, and certain enterprise positions such as our water infrastructure division. We have put a hold on filling any vacant positions. We've suspended any and all travel and training, and we put telecommuting measures in place for over 130 of our city employees to help with social distancing. On April 6th, a temporary moratorium was put in place on the issuance of RV parking citations. On April 8th, California Governor Newsom signed 2 executive orders, one to help procure necessary medical supplies to fight COVID-19, and the other to provide additional support for older adults and vulnerable young children by allowing a 60-day waiver for in-home supportive services. Just a couple more things and then I'll finish. The OC Treasurer Tax Collector issued a statement also on the 8th regarding their plan to cancel penalties for homeowners, small businesses, and other property owners with significant economic hardships on a case-by-case basis. And then on April 9th, I do want to mention a strong recommendation was issued by the Orange County Healthcare Agency to begin wearing face coverings while at work or outside the home. And also, our COVID-19 direct mailer went into the City Works water bills that went out to, I think, 32,000 ratepayers in the city of Garden Grove with valuable information about how to stay safe during the pandemic. So in short and in conclusion, the city continues taking aggressive and proactive steps to address the COVID-19 pandemic. The health and safety of our Garden Grove community is our top priority. So with that, that concludes my remarks, and I'm now going to turn it over to our EOC Director and Police Chief Tom DeRay for an update on his work.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the city manager and all the central management staff for the hard work with our Emergency Operations Center. We have a talented staff and strong leadership. This team has done an outstanding job during this pandemic. The team has also put the safety of the community and employees first. Many on this team have spent countless hours from their family to ensure that the city provides the essential services to the residents. Each person on the team plays different roles, but they are doing a fantastic job. I also want to say thank you to the healthcare workers for the great job they are doing on the front lines. They are the true heroes that are working without the proper PPE equipment on a daily basis, and they're in the trenches providing medical care to COVID-19 patients. I want to discuss a little bit about the crime because I know that's a topic that we want to keep everyone educated on, but the Garden Grove Police Department has experienced a drop in overall crime throughout our city at 12%, so a 12% reduction in overall crime. Year to date, we see a 7% increase in violent crime. So I was really concerned at this when I looked at it, and I could see a 40% increase in aggravated assault. So in reading this out a little bit further, I found that we had a 17% increase in our domestic violence, and we also had increased acts of violence in our retail parking lots. We have addressed these issues by doing a public service announcement, which was recently featured on our social media page. Additionally, I have staged officers at our major grocery outlets to quell any violent acts and to allow our community members to shop, while feeling protected. On the other side, our property crime has dropped 17%. COVID-19 has had an effect on our community, but our police officers are doing well. They are focusing on high visibility patrol and doing everything they can to protect the community. We have placed PPE kits in each patrol car that contains an N95 mask, goggles, gloves, and hand sanitizer. These kits will be used on all death investigations and also when we encounter someone displaying symptoms of COVID-19. For everyday use, we have issued out surgical masks to our officers. We have a limited supply, and that is why you do not see officers wearing them at all times. We are waiting for our bulk order to be delivered by the end of this week. I must say that Tam Nguyen, the owner of Advanced Beauty College, Johnny No, the president of Whale Spa, and Councilwoman Tuha came through. Tam and Johnny donated much needed face masks and gloves, while Councilwoman Tuha donated hand sanitizer and gloves. The hand sanitizer was donated by Ann Oliver, the owner of House of M. I would remind our community to take all necessary precautions to keep yourself and your family safe. Stay home as much as you can, use social distancing, wash your hands often, cover your cough or wear a face covering, and if you are sick, get treatment. Treatment early on is the key. The police department currently does not have all of our PPE equipment, but we will have our inventory full by the end of this week. Gloves, in regards to gloves, we have ordered 1,300 boxes, and we have 200 boxes in stock, so we are good for now. In reference to the goggles, we received 200 goggles from Central Stores initially, and we backed it up with another 200 goggle order to replace if needed and keep a backstock in case of reoccurrence. These additionally are not throwaways, they are hard plastic which we can sanitize and use over and over again. We have ordered 13,000 surgical masks. 2,000 came in and we distributed them immediately to our officers. 11,000 surgical masks should come in by the end of the week or early next week, and 2,000 are for community services, 1,000 are for public works, and the remaining 8,000 are for the police department. We had an amount of N95 masks on hand, which were expired by over 1 year. We then received approximately 400 new N95 masks from Central Stores, which we used to replace the expired masks, some of which were failing. We then ordered 2,000 new N95 masks, 1,500 for the police department and 500 for public works. Those should be coming in next week. The N95 masks that were expiring, we were contacted initially by the Garden Grove Hospital, who was in desperate need of masks, and it did not matter if they were expired. Originally, right off the bat, we noticed that we did have a problem. We wanted to make sure that our partners who are on the front lines are protected, so we handed over, out of our 400 masks that we had on hand, we handed over 100 to the healthcare workers over at Garden Grove Hospital. As we started to begin getting new masks in for the officers, Garden Grove Hospital was desperate, so we donated the rest, another 400 N95 masks to the hospital, and for them it didn't even matter if they were expired, so we were very happy to help our healthcare workers out there. I want to talk just a little bit about the homeless. So regarding our homeless individuals in the city, we continue to provide a great service and gather any resources they need. We have found that the trend continues of not wanting any housing. We have focused on public safety in regards to the encampment. So what we are doing is if it poses a public safety, we are becoming involved with that and we are handling it on a case-by-case basis. But we are continuing to work with CityNet and other nonprofit groups to provide resources to the homeless. The County of Orange has contracted with the Alo Hotel in Orange, and that is by UCI. Additionally, the county is looking at contracting with another hotel in South Orange County and possibly one in Central Orange County. These hotels will not be used to just house homeless. They will be restricted to homeless individuals that need to be quarantined due to testing positive for COVID-19. And I think it's important to note this is not, once they're in that quarantine, they are not allowed to freely leave. They will be kept inside the hotel until their quarantine's over. So that's the end of my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief DeRay. Obviously, throughout this whole pandemic, every city is just really been suffering greatly in terms of lost revenue and just people in general have lost jobs, and it's just been difficult for the community, for the residents. It's also been difficult for the city because we're concerned about trying to make sure we can provide good services to the community. So paying attention to our finances is critical. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Patricia Song, our finance director. I think Patricia has 5 or 6 PowerPoint slides that she wants to go over to brief the council members on the impact we have so far and to the community. And I think we will be able to also, for the people watching, they will be able to see the PowerPoint presentation as well. So at this point, I'm turning it over to Patricia Song. And I assume we're just having a few little technical issues with the PowerPoint. We should be starting here momentarily.
Oh, I apologize. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes,
Let
we
me start
can.
again.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Patricia Song, Finance Director. Tonight, I will provide a quick overview of the initial assessment of the COVID-19 on the impacts on the city's finances. Staff conducted periodic estimates on damage caused by the pandemic since the late March, and these estimates have been submitted to the county EOC on a weekly basis. As of April 9, 2020, we estimate total damage to the city amounted to $10.9 million. Due to the unique nature of this pandemic, over 90% of damage is caused by loss of revenue. We projected total loss of revenue of $10.2 million at this base, among which TOT revenue loss is about $4.8 million through the end of April. For the entire fiscal year, we estimate total loss on TOT will be $8.7 million. TOT stands for Transit Occupancy Tax. It's the hotel visitors tax. With no hotel reservations through end of May and half occupancy rate for 15 days in June. Loss on sales tax, it's estimated through end of current fiscal year by comparing new revenue amount provided by HDL on April 5th, 2020 to what was estimated in February. Original estimates also from HDL, or sales tax consultant. Loss on other revenues include $165,000 due to the suspension of street sweeping and parking citations through end of April, $94,000 due to slowing down in building and planning activities through the end of April, and $57,000 as the result of canceled recreation classes and facility rentals as of April 9, 2020 again. Let's take a look at the direct costs relates to COVID-19. As of April 9, that we have 39 purchase orders issued since March 16th. Total value is about $218,000. We also had 35 credit card purchases in a value of $25,000. Personnel costs total to about 9,200 man hours since March 16th, and in value it's about $453,000. So the average spending for the initial 3 weeks since March 16th was about $50,000 per week. This is not including the personnel cost as a payroll costs. We use this rate to calculate the additional spending through the end of the fiscal year and estimated about $550,000 in expenses over our original budgeted amounts. The total direct cost does not include the new emergency paid sick leave signed into law by the federal government. The new Sick Leave Act requires the city to pay up to 80 hours of additional sick leave pay for eligible employees. I also wanted to point out that the total direct cost related to the pandemic is not limited to the $712,000 to date, or what we could spend through the end of the fiscal year. The future cost impact could be much more significant due to the routine pre-planned work being delayed. This slide here shows the federal government has the assistance provided at the federal government level. The federal government has announced its first 3 phases of assistance since the beginning of the pandemic. Phase 3, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, or CARES Act, directly relates to us as a local government. It provides a total of $2.2 trillion in federal aid. Listed on the left side of the slide are the few programs that will potentially provide either reimbursement or allocation. As of now, confirmed funding for the city totaled about $2 million, including $1.8 from HUD program, which Lisa will provide additional details in her presentation shortly, and about $125,000 for our police workforce through the coronavirus emergency supplemental funding. Now let's take a look at the impact to our general fund for the current year and next fiscal year. Back in February, we estimated the general fund will end the year with a surplus of $18 million, including $2 million one-time revenue from land sale and about $4 million savings due to temporary vacancies. Due to the pandemic, we anticipate our total revenue will decrease by $15.3 million from the February estimate, mostly from sales tax and TOT, hotel visitors tax. Other revenues relate to building and permitting services, street sweeping citation, parking citation will be impacted as well. Due to the strong performance in the retail and hotel businesses during the first 8 months of the year, we anticipate to end the current year with a slight surplus of $2 million. However, at this point, we do foresee next fiscal year we will run into a $5 million deficit. The bottom part of the slide shows the huge swing on two out of the 3 major revenue sources for each fiscal year. Keep in mind, these 3 revenue sources, sales tax, TOT, and property tax total, comes up to about 80% of a total general fund revenue. And the 2 out of the 3 having a huge impact due to the pandemic is a very serious threat to our finances. Now, expenditures are held unchanged at this time in our budget estimate, with the idea that savings from vacancies will absorb the majority of the additional cost. And again, due to the unique nature of this pandemic, the direct cost is going to be very limited because most of the personnel cost is already budgeted in our original budget. In response to the drastic change in our revenue outlook, City Manager Stiles had directed an immediate implementation of 6 cost containment measures. Those are hiring freeze, with exception for SWAT public safety, critical emergency dispatch, and certain enterprise-funded positions. Recruitment on hold, 30-day delay on part-time hiring. This is specifically for community services programs that's been temporarily placed on hold. suspend non-essential training, travel, and conferences for all city employees, deferring non-essential equipment and capital purchases, and reassess personnel equipment needs, including cell phone, uniform, and take-home vehicles. We're also eliminating low-value tasks and reassess our business process to see if we can find efficiencies and cost savings. As we go through the phases, we'll be able to evaluate other considerations as we see fit to make sure that we are still going to be able to bring a balanced budget to the City Council for adoption for mid-cycle update for fiscal year 2021. Now, before I conclude my presentation, I want to touch on some of the long-term financial impact caused by this pandemic. On the revenue side, our sales and hotel tax amount to, again, about 60+% of our overall general fund revenue. Yet they are also the most vulnerable revenue sources, which largely depend upon economic condition and consumer spending. With the high employment rate, even after the pandemic is over, it will still take time for consumers to rebuild confidence. Behavioral changes will also be a major factor reshaping the rate of our revenue recovery. Business travel may go down if business see teleconferences can also be conducted efficiently. And shoppers' behavior change from brick mortar to online shopping, that will change our local sales tax or transaction tax revenue. So on the cost side, pension costs will continue to grow, especially after this year's poor performance on investment return. The latest estimate from CalPERS announced that fiscal year to date, CalPERS has a rate of return of -4, meaning they're losing 4% on interest. The projected fiscal year investment earning is 2% due to the decent rate of return in the beginning, again, the first 8 months of the fiscal year. So, however, our targeted discount rate, this is the amount determines our payment to CalPERS on an annual basis. It's at 7%. Now, the difference between the 2 and the 7 will be considered a new amortization base for us, which would be an investment loss. Based on our latest actuarial study, that our asset held by CalPERS is $574 million, and a 5% loss is equivalent to almost $29 million. All of the investment loss per CalPERS new policy is to be amortized over 20 years, starting fiscal year 22-23. And the initial ramp-up is for 5 years. That will be about $700,000 per year. However, you will go up to $3.6 million per year starting 26-27. So these are some very serious considerations we have to factor into the future long-term planning and forecasting. This is all that I have as for the presentation. I welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Yeah, before we go on, what's next? Lisa is next?
Lisa will go, but if there's any financial questions for Patricia?
Yeah, so maybe we'll pause, and if there's any questions on that kind of gloomy report we just heard, any comments or questions, colleagues?
This is Councilman Patbui. No question, but just want to comment that it's a very well prepared report. And I just would, some of the slides is very difficult for us to see on the video streaming. I'm watching it via YouTube, so maybe IG can look into it to see if the image quality can be a little bit better for us to see the fine detail.
Yes, Councilman, I don't know if we can do that during the meeting here, but we'll try. I know we have some technical people who are working on that. The other thing that we'll do is all of these, both of the presentations will be posted on our website with the agenda tomorrow as well, too. So people can look and print the documents out to have them. So we'll make sure that happens as well.
This is Councilman Breidig. I'm just looking at the slides on the television. The only one that I could actually read was the last one. They're really blurry, just on television and on YouTube, evidently.
Okay, that's noted, and we'll see what we can do to try and improve that. Any other questions or comments, or should we move on to Lisa Kim's report?
Yeah. Okay, so the last part of our presentation here is our Assistant City Manager, Lisa Kim, who's also our Community and Economic Development Director, who will be talking about the work that they've been doing on business resource and resiliency, what we can do to help our business community during this time, and also our residents. So I know we had to switch some people around, so Lisa, if you're ready to go, please proceed.
Thank you, Scott. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. As Finance Director Patricia Song shared in the financial update presentation, the long-term economic impact to Garden Grove's local economy continues to be tremendously fluid. What we do know is our local business community is struggling and seeking assistance and resources to combat the significant challenges they are facing with loss of sales, declining in employment, lost wages, and layoffs. To that end, the proposed Business Resource and Resiliency Plan has been developed to serve as an action plan in how best to deploy economic development resources to our business community. The Resiliency Plan is comprised of 4 components. We've incorporated some of the immediate actions undertaken by the city, and Mr. Stiles has summarized that earlier in his remarks. For the balance of my presentation, most of the discussions will focus around the economic development actions that are currently in process. In addition, the plan contains a comprehensive clearinghouse of business resources available to our business community, our employers, and our employees. And it also includes a breakdown of how a business startup guide as well. I would like to highlight, I know Mr. Stiles had shared briefly about the Business Resource Toolkit that is now available online. It has been, through the CARES Act, there has been a tremendous amount of small business loans that are available to our small business community. So we've identified a quick link to each of those resources. The most popular today is the Paycheck Protection Program, or P3, which makes available up to $10 million to small businesses. In addition, the EIDL loan, also known as the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, a direct link to those resources are also available for our small business community. We are also prepared to deploy a COVID-19 business survey. Part of the process is to gather feedback from our business community and to understand and learn what resources are most important for them at this point in time. We wanted to ensure that our business community has the necessary resources and are available to reach members of the Office of Economic Development, and we are able to connect our business community to the federal, state, and county resources that are currently available. As we transitioned to a virtual public service counter, we are currently ramping up a virtual live inspection process that's available to our development community. It is pretty streamlined, that allows virtual inspections to be conducted and while managing social distancing. Your typical inspections that are currently requested through the pipeline can vary anywhere between water heater replacement, patio covers, foundation, inspections, installation. All of those can be handled virtually. We are also in the process of deploying over the next 2 weeks an online plan check that will add an additional convenience to the general public and our customers. Currently in process, staff is reviewing the existing small business assistance program that the City Council adopted back in 2017. The existing small business loan provides for up to $25,000 for job creation efforts. This loan has the framework of the current loan provides for a 0 interest rate loan for each job created. We are in the process of modifying these guidelines to shift to job retention priorities and to support our businesses that are currently impacted by COVID-19. We are also developing a streamlined SBA application process that would be deployed at the end of the month to assist our various small business applications through the application process, and would be streamlined and easily tracked through submittal, review, underwriting, and ultimately approval. Staff will also be recommending that the SBA loan be modified to a forgivable loan structure and increase the loan amount from $25,000 to $50,000. The funding for the program will be derived from CDBG funds that, under the CARES Act that Finance Director highlighted, we will be receiving an additional allocation to support our small business community. And in a few slides, I'll be walking through each of those dollar amounts. I think something to note, there are extremely an abundant amount of resources available to our small business community. What we provided is a comprehensive clearinghouse of federal, state, local resources, and a description of each of those resources, as well as a URL, a website link for those information that would be readily available to our business community. So part of the CARES Act, and we will be receiving approximately $1.8 million in one-time CDBG and ESG funding. Our estimated CDBG allocation will be approximately $1.2 million, of which a portion would be programmed towards administration, economic development in the form of the SBA loan that we are in the process of revamping the guidelines, and also expanding our Meals on Wheels programs to seniors, families, and individuals impacted by COVID-19. The ESG program, or funds, emergency solution grants, will also be earmarked for administration, homelessness outreach. I believe Chief DeRay also mentioned the nonprofit that works closely with homelessness street outreach, CityNet. Staff will be recommending additional funding to support those efforts, with the majority of the balance be provided for rapid rehousing and rental assistance for individuals and families impacted by COVID-19. We anticipate bringing the recommendation to program these additional funds at the next council meeting via a substantial amendment to our current action plan, and to allow these resources to be deployed in this fiscal year. So what are some of our next steps? Well, we will anticipate launching the business survey this week. In collaboration with the Korean and Vietnamese Chamber, they are assisting the Office of Economic Development with translation of the Business Resource and Resiliency Plan. We anticipate wrapping up the SBA guidelines and deploying the online application portal by May 1st. We are also working with the Office of Community Relations in producing a business resource webinar in collaboration with the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Orange County Small Business Development Center. We anticipate that webinar identify all resources to be rolled out in the next week or so. On the City Council agenda this evening, the City Council will consider approval of the Business Resource and Resiliency Plan that I've highlighted in my presentation. We will also be seeking authorization for the City Manager to defer penalties, fines, enforcement actions against businesses that collect and pay TOT to the City. We will also be seeking authorization to the City Manager to implement some of the programs that have been identified in this plan. This concludes staff's recommendations and a summary of the resiliency plan, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thanks, Lisa. Any questions or comments about all that?
Councilman Pat Louis?
Oh, go ahead, Pat.
Okay. Lisa, you mentioned that for your business survey, you will put some ads on the local newspaper, and I heard you mentioned some Vietnamese newspaper. do you also put an ad on the non-Vietnamese newspapers, such as the Orange County Tribune or the Voice of OC or the Register?
Absolutely, Councilmember Bowie. We will be coordinating with the Office of Community Relations to assist us in circulating the press release with the availability of the COVID-19 business survey. Our goal is to ensure that the resources reach all members of our business community, so absolutely we will reach out to those news media.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thanks. Anybody else? Okay, I'll add just a couple comments in closing so we can move on. One pertaining to finance, just want to appreciate Patricia and her group's diligent efforts. I know all departments are tracking costs as they pertain to the COVID disruption that we're experiencing, and I know we're also diligently pursuing our fair share of any federal stimulus money that trickles down through all the layers of government on its way down to get to us. So within this past week, all the Orange County mayors have talked a couple times, and we're all planning to apply pressure at the state and county level to make sure that any federal money that funnels through on their way down makes it out to us quickly and efficiently where it's needed here on the local level. And then just want to appreciate Lisa and her group for just their dedicated care and concern about our small businesses in town. All businesses, but particularly the small businesses that are so vulnerable and that create that uniqueness that makes the town attractive. So I know they've been reaching out, keeping in touch with our small businesses, and just very diligently researching all the available resources and trying to guide people to hang in there and find ways to sustain and see it through the other side of this thing. So just want to appreciate Lisa's efforts as well. And with that, we'll move on to oral communications. We'll do oral communications now for all legislative bodies. Madam Clerk, do we have any cards?
Actually, we do. We have Nicholas Dibbs here in the audience, and he would like to speak. And I also received a letter from the Willowick Rise Coalition, and I just would like to briefly read that letter before Mr. Dibbs speaks. The Willowick Rise letter is basically asking that the city be in compliance with the California Surplus Land Act, that on February 25th, 2020, Garden Grove City Council declared the Willowick property as surplus through a resolution. The coalition writes this letter with the purpose of receiving more information as to how the city plans to comply with the SLA. Specifically, the SLA obligates a government entity to give priority to the notice that sets out to provide the highest and deepest level of housing affordability. How does the city plan to prioritize notices of intent? How does the city plan to ensure that good faith negotiations take place? And as we are experiencing the global COVID-19 pandemic, many residents that live near the Willowick site are experiencing economic hardship and emotional distress. In light of this, we are asking if the city can extend the SLA timeline. Specifically, can the city of Garden Grove give interested entities more than 60 days to respond, and also extend the 90-day good faith negotiation period with interested priority buyers? Given already the high rents and now the loss of employment and wages due to the statewide COVID-19 state of emergency stay-at-home orders and the shutdown of non-essential businesses, housing insecurity is a major concern for residents. In Garden Grove, about 42.2% of residents pay more than 1/3 of their income to housing, and about 17.4% of households in Garden Grove live in poverty. This was prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Any type of development on the Willowick site that is not deeply affordable would only exacerbate the acute housing insecurity in the area. Furthermore, the need for open space as a tool to relax and address mental and emotional issues is further highlighted by this pandemic. For residents who live in overcrowded conditions with minimal recreational space, essential shelter in place, regulations negatively impact residents' mental, emotional, and physical well-being, especially now that schools are closed. And the coalition is interested in knowing how the city intends to act in the best interest of its residents during this unprecedented pandemic. While it is important to address the direct needs of residents at this time, we also urge the city to act on the best interest of its residents and support actions where long-term investments to vital needs such as long-term affordable housing with deep levels of affordable and park space can be supported and facilitated. The coalition would appreciate a timely response to our letter, seen as the timeline for SLA compliance is moving forward. And this is, there is contact information, and this letter was forwarded to all of the city council members. Thank you, and Mr. Dibbs would like to speak.
Can everyone hear okay? Mayor Jones, City Council members, citizens of Garden Grove, my name is Nicholas Dibbs, and I am a credentialed science teacher and a longtime resident of Garden Grove with some important items to bring to your attention, two of which, due to the pandemic emergency situation, include action item requests for your and the council's consideration that should be acted upon at tonight's meeting if at all possible, or for you to please place on the agenda for a special council meeting you might call for next week or wait until your next meeting on April 28th. The first action item I want to bring up, let's see, first off I want to say also, please know that each of you are missed being present in person at council meetings and at city and community events that have been canceled, such as the Garden Grove College Graduates Reception that I was pleased to co-sponsor during the past 3 years. As I stand here in the council chambers, there's only 5 of us. I'm the only member of the public, and there are 4 staff. So I look forward to your return to this chamber as soon as possible. During the March 24th, your last council meeting on March 24th, I listened to the discussion of council members prior to their unanimously passing the local emergency resolution, and Councilman Patrick Bowie brought up the urgent need for caring and compassion. And in his remarks, he suggested in a way, or proposed in a way, the idea of forming a community task force, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but this is, he mentioned the word the words task force, to explore and consider ideas, options, and potential solutions to possibly help as best as possible anyone and everyone facing financial problems and hardships, etc., due to the current worldwide pandemic emergency severely and negatively impacting our city. I think this is a very good idea, and that such a task force or some sort of a task force is urgently needed, a community task force is urgently needed, and should include active community members and leaders. Tonight, I would like to volunteer to serve on such a task force if or when it is created as soon as possible. We have a lot of talent in our city, a lot of good people that care about the community and that can bring a lot to the table. So I want to urge Councilman Bowie, if at all possible, if you would please mention this, if you would please make a motion that this idea be placed on the next council agenda for consideration. And speaking of service on a task force, I did serve during 2018 and 2019. I served as a member of the Community Hospital Long Beach Task Force to reopen Community Hospital. As such, it is indeed a pleasure to report the following most welcome good news. Long Beach Community Hospital, where I was born, which also serves Garden Grove, reopened on March 21st, just in the nick of time, which of course is my first name. This hospital is now providing urgent and critical care. And I want to personally thank Mayor Jones and the council members back in 2018 and former Garden Grove Fire Chief Tom Schultz and city staff who were instrumental in backing my 2018 public comment and email request to provide a letter, which you have a copy of, supporting the reopening of Long Beach Community Hospital. And this has happened at this critical time. That's the first action item request there, along with some good news about the community hospital. Okay, number 2 action item. In conjunction with the task force idea I just mentioned, I'd like to request and urge the council to create and establish a coronavirus relief fund, a partnership between the city and the Garden Grove Community Foundation, something similar to, but perhaps smaller in scale, to the coronavirus relief fund recently established by the City of Long Beach and the Long Beach Community Foundation that has raised about $1 million and so far has distributed about $450,000 to local nonprofits serving the poor and needy. And that's according to the April 13th email I forwarded to each of you from Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia. This evening, I would like to be the first to volunteer to help with this worthy project, if at all possible, as soon as possible, and encouraging you to establish a relief fund, which I hope you do. As such, I urge the council members, Mayor Jones and the council members, and I call on Mayor Jones and hopefully Council Member Kim Nguyen, if one of you or somebody on the council can please place this idea also on the council agenda for the next meeting.
Hi, Nick.
Lastly, I'd like to mention the governor's framework to reopen the economy, which he released today, which includes 6 key points. Do I have any time left? So.
No, I'm sorry, but you're past time, Nick. We gotta wrap it up and keep moving.
Okay, thank
We
you.
appreciate your essential comments. City Clerk, do we have anyone else?
No, we have no more speakers.
Okay. Great. At this time, we will recess and go to successor agency. Madam Clerk, would you call roll?
Member Brightigam?
Here.
Member O'Neill?
Here.
Member Deidre Nguyen?
Here.
Member Klopfenstein?
Here?
Member Kim Nguyen?
Here.
Vice Chair Bowie?
Yeah.
And Chair Jones?
Here. We already did oral communication together with City Council. We'll move on to consent items. It's just 2A, receive and file the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Stephanie?
Okay.
Motion Haas, second Kim. Call to roll call vote.
Member Brightigam?
Yes.
Member O'Neill?
Yes.
Member Deidre Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Klopfenstein?
Yes.
Member Kim Nguyen?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bowie?
Yes.
And Chair Jones?
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Any matters from successor agency members? Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn back to City Council. And that takes us to consent items. It's recommended that items 3A through 3H be acted on simultaneously unless anyone would like to pull an item.
Move. George Brightingham.
Second.
Brightingham motion, Fatui second. City Clerk, please call roll call vote.
Councilmember Brightigam?
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Klopfenstein?
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Thank you. That takes us on to items for consideration. Item number 4A.
Item number 4A is approval of a PFAS agreement with the Orange County Water District. I believe that City Attorney Sandoval is here to give the report.
Yes, that's correct. I'm Sandoval, City Attorney, and Mayor, members of the City Council, before you is an agreement with the Orange County Water District that proposes to assist the city and the water district to design and build water treatment facilities, various city wells to treat 2 chemicals that the State of California has lowered the limits for as constituents to be in our water system. The agreement would propose that OCWD would design and build these facilities on behalf of the city, and then after they are built, would turn over the facilities to the city and then fund 50% of the operation and maintenance costs for these facilities. Orange County Water District manages the water basin, and one of their charges is to make sure that there's sufficient water in our basin for beneficial use. And these two chemicals have caused two of our wells to be taken down. And as we do additional testing, is expected that 3 other wells will be affected and will be taken down, and that would be 5 of our total of 13 wells. We use about 75% of our water from the water basin, and so this impact by the state of California lowering these limits it's impacting not only our ability to serve water at a lower rate than if we were to purchase the water from the Metropolitan Water District, but it also, by us stopping from producing from these wells, the plume of these chemicals will keep going downstream and will affect other public agencies and other water providers as well. So both the Orange County Water District and the city have an interest in treating the water so that we can continue to use our wells and at the same time clean up the basin. So the agreement is before you. It's before the Orange County Water District Board tomorrow for their regular meeting as well. And there are some minor changes that will be made on some footnotes, but they're very minor. They don't change the substantive requirements of the agreement. So at this time, our recommendation is for the City Council to approve this agreement, authorize the city manager to execute it on behalf of the city, and also to authorize the city manager to approve minor modifications that are deemed necessary. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at this time.
Colleagues, please go ahead. Okay. If not, then do we have a motion?
I move the motion. Approve.
I'll second it. George Gilliam.
Great. Please roll call vote.
Councilmember Bridegan?
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Klopfenstein?
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill?
Yes.
And Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Thanks, Terry. Okay, we move on to ordinances presented for a second reading and adoption. We just have 15A.
Item 5A is the second reading of ordinance number 2913, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove, adding Chapter 1857 to Title 18 of the Garden Grove Municipal Code relating to electric vehicle charging systems.
Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Move the motion. Bowie.
I think,
O'Neill?
yeah, I think I heard Tuha Nguyen for the motion and John O'Neill for the second. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Councilmember Bridegan?
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Klopfenstein?
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill?
Yes.
And Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, that takes us on to matters, and we do have 2 agendized matters. The first is item 6A, which is a discussion regarding funding request letters for the Housing Choice Voucher Program and supplemental support in response to the COVID-19 crisis, as requested by Councilmember Bowie. Oh, yeah, Councilmember Bowie, any comments on this?
Well, I just want to thank you, staff, for working with Mayor Jones and I, very hard on this letter for the past week and a half, and also meeting with various members of the Congress in that conference call meeting, and I had bring up this issue with them. We had Congress members telling us that yes, they thank you the city staff for bringing up this issue, and they definitely will look into this funding at the next round. In the initial round, they mentioned that Congress have been overwhelmed with so many issues affecting many industry, and they have not addressed the issue where people are being laid off and do not have money to pay for their rent, and property owners, whether residential or commercial, will suffer consequently. So in the next round of assistance, they will definitely bring to Congress to see how they can help with this issue. And I would like to thank the staff for, drafting the letter and bring this attention to our representative in Congress. End of comments.
Great, thanks, Pat. Anything else on that, Scott? Okay. We have item 6B is a discussion regarding the 2020 census self-response rate in Garden Grove as requested by Councilmember Kim Nguyen.
Hi everyone, it's Kim Nguyen. I just wanted to share some quick information regarding the census. So the California self-response rate is currently at 49.2%. Orange County is at 55.7%, and Garden Grove is at 56.1%, so we're doing a really good job. One of the things that I noticed when I did a deeper dive into our city is that 9 tracts in East Garden Grove are reporting just shy of 50%. So I had a lengthy discussion with staff about some efforts that we can do to increase self-reporting in East Garden Grove. Obviously, a lot of the initial outreach plans that we had kind of had to be put on halt thanks to the current situation that we're facing. But some of the new efforts that staff will be working towards will be partnering more closely with Garden Grove Unified School District and ensuring that multi-language flyers are being sent through the parent portal, as well as working with Gwenna Clinton's TNT program, which is their teen program. Also, I would like to recommend that we ensure that we work to get flyers out to the school district as they provide meals to the students on a daily basis. I know that we currently have a census webpage. We have included census information in our City Works and Connections. We have done posts on all social media platforms for the city and I believe for the police department as well. Looks like we are utilizing ads in our Auto Center, Civic Center, and the Gem Theater. We are also utilizing our Amber Alert signs on Harbor and Valley View. I would like to suggest that we potentially reach out to our faith leaders who are conducting virtual services to share census information. I know that our mayor did a great short and sweet update for the city with one of our local churches, so I'm wondering if we could also ask that we share more census information. Potentially also flyers at grocers and other businesses, small businesses and restaurants that are still open, if they would be willing to post information on their doors perhaps. And lastly, I would like to urge my colleagues to share census information and links on their social media. And sorry, the dog. And if there's any other recommendations that any of my colleagues may have as far as creative ideas on how to push out census information, I would like to open that for discussion. If not, I think staff has some ideas that they're working with currently.
Thanks, Kim. Any other comments on that by anybody else or staff or no?
No, Mr. Mayor, council members, this is Scott Stiles. I know, appreciate all those suggestions, a lot of good stuff there. We're kind of monitoring it throughout the city, and as Councilmember Nguyen said, we are off to a good start, about 56%. 10 years ago, I think we got upwards of 75%. We want to make a big push to get to that number. We've got a lot of work to do in some of the areas that are undercounted. Sean Park in my office is our point person. He's doing a lot of work on this. We're going to continue to kind of push that. So we'll take all these suggestions, and I think we can make all of them happen. So appreciate the comments.
Thank you. Okay, so that's the only two that we had listed. I think we're doing a good job, by the way, on the census thing so far. We're kind of exceeding, I think, what other cities are doing and what we had thought. So that's good, and that will be great for ultimately for resources that become available to the city. So we should keep it up and keep promoting it and getting more people to sign up and come forward. Okay, we'll go around the horn. Any other matters from colleagues?
None for me.
Sorry, let me do that. Let me do that in a little more organized. Let's go. Councilmember Brightingham, anything?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem John O'Neill. I'm just going sort of around the horn from where we normally sit.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me all right?
Sure can.
Okay, I just wanted to encourage everyone out there that's listening to stay safe, continue doing what you're doing to protect yourself and your family during this time. If you're one of the fortunate ones that are still able to work in your essential capacities, please remain safe for yourself and your colleagues. I think everyone's done a great job, and I think all of us collectively, at least here in California and in Garden Grove, have done a great job. I think we can all say that we've probably saved some lives, and I look forward to the day of where, the next coming months of where we can get back to some normalcy, but we have to move forward with precaution and continue to save lives. So just keep doing what you're doing out there. We're on it as far as the city services go and the finances, and we're going to get through this. It's going to be difficult, but we're going to manage just like everyone else is going to have to manage. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you very much.
Councilmember Tu-Ha Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor Steve Jones. I just want to share with you all the in the past couple weeks we have nailing it for healthcare workers. There's organizing by multiple community activists, especially the president of the Wells Fargo and the Tam Nguyen from ABC Advanced Beauty College. So they basically donate all the PPE to more than 30 entities in the communities, include the first responder, the Garden Grove Police Department, Westminster, Palm Valley, and all the hospital in the areas, all the frontline workers. So I just want to recognize them. They have been donating more than 120,000 masks and almost 300,000 gloves. And just want to share that Mayor Steve Jones and I was part of the volunteers. We've been driving across town to deliver all the PPE to different locations. So thank you, Mayor. And and at the same time, I do have a statement from the Nailing It for Healthcare Workers organizing committees. They would like me to deliver the statement from them. We represent Nailing It for the healthcare workers. Thankful for the opportunity to be recognized by Mayor Steve Jones and the council's members and the rest of the Garden Grove City Council. The true heroes are those frontline workers, healthcare workers, law enforcement officers, grocery store workers, and other essential workers, performing their duties to protect and to serve the rest of us during this COVID-19 crisis. We want to thank you all those who have sacrificed so much during this tumultuous time and let them know what they are contributing a small part to a bigger picture. Together, we will get through this, and together we will emerge even stronger as people, as a city, and as a country. Thank you, mayors, city council members, and along with our chief and Garden Grove Police Department. That is from the Nailing It for Healthcare Workers. Thank you, mayors and the council.
Thank you, Tu-Ha, for giving that spotlight. We'll go to the other end over to Councilmember Kim Bernice-Nguyen.
No comment for me other than to thank staff for all their hard work.
Councilmember Stephanie Klopfenstein.
I just wanted to make mention again to continue to try and support small businesses and our local restaurants as safely and as often as possible. I've been trying to eat my way around Garden Grove. I don't know that my waistline is grateful for it, but we have to show our support in every way that we can. And I also want to give a shout out to our local Ralph's at Euclid and Chapman. Obviously, it's a grocery store that I've been shopping at all my life. And I just want to thank them for keeping things organized. The grocery store looks beautiful. They're taking great measures to keep everything clean. And a shout out to Kevin, the store manager. He's just really doing a great job. They're on the front lines. They're putting themselves at risk every day. And so please, try to thank them as often as you can when you're shopping, because they're really working hard for all of us. And please stay safe, Garden Grove. That's it.
Thanks, Stephanie. We've each gained 15 pounds. We call that COVID-15. Councilmember Patrick Fatboui.
Two things. I am extremely touched by so many small business in Garden Grove and nearby city have been donating to, the frontline people, such as those who I have mentioned. And today I received another phone call from a small company in Garden Grove on Chapman. The business name is Chapman Corporation. And they have been donating thousands of masks to a local hospital in Orange County. And today they have a few hundred, and they would like to donate to the Public Works and also some to the staff working at the City Hall. So tomorrow around 11:30 or so, we will come by to meet with Bill Murray and hand about 500 masks to our people at Public Works. And then after that, we will circle back to the City Hall to bring it to Scottsdale. She said something that really touched me. She said that she's been donating masks to a few hospitals in Orange County and in Los Angeles. And on the way home, she noticed that our police force driving around and our city work driving around without wearing masks. She was so touched that our staff have been working around the clock to still providing the services for our residents, and yet they do not have the mask to protect themselves. So that's when she decided to give me a call and see if we can, I can help her arrange, the time for her to bring the mask to our City Hall and to the Public Works. And those spirit is what we really need, because I believe that we need to stand together and with small act like that will help us through this pandemic. So thank you very much to the people at Chapman Corporation. And then finally, today I received a phone call from someone I don't know, saying that I have that he needs to deliver some small package of fruit to my home, and I have no idea. So it really scared my wife and I. I don't know who is it that's giving us some edible, some fruit. I was wondering what could be in it. Could it, is it safe? But when I got home, I saw a small package with some fruit, some edible. And it is from the mayor and city council and the city hall, wishing me, well-wished birthday. So thank you very much, Mayor and my colleagues and city staff for brightening my day with that small package. I really appreciate it.
That's funny, Pat. I guess in this day and age, it's not a good idea to surprise anybody with any packages or deliveries or, personal deliveries.
You never know. Yes. I never know, because lately I received some prank call happened to me. So I was wondering if my wife was worried about that. Would it be safe to eat? What is it?
The gift that keeps on giving.
That's funny story. Anyways, very, very, very happy birthday to you, my friend. I'm glad it made it there safely. I'm glad you received it and didn't send it back.
Thank you.
City Manager Scott Stiles, any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members, just one quick thing. Yeah, in this age of social distancing, it is hard to sometimes present all this information to you remotely, but we will, first thing in the morning, we will have all of the presentations that you heard today. I'll also post my remarks that I prepared. Those will be included so that we want the public to take a look at the financial information, Lisa's plan, any remarks that I made, any remarks the chiefs made. So we'll have those all posted tomorrow morning for the public to access. That's all I have. Thank you.
General Counsel, do we have need for any closed session?
No, we don't.
Okay. I just, in sadness, I want to adjourn tonight's meeting in condolences of someone who I actually knew fairly well. This is in memory of Reverend Dr. Lawrence Wilkes, who lived a life of service and faith in God. Reverend Wilkes passed away on March 31st, a victim of COVID-19. A native of Winnipeg, Canada, who came to Southern California in the late 60s, his life's work as a pastor, a teacher, a life coach, and an author. He joined the Crystal Cathedral Ministry in the 90s as an interim pastor, and in 2012, he was the voice of the Hour of Power broadcast. When the Crystal Cathedral went through its transitionary period, we actually helped him move his theological university out of the Crystal Cathedral campus and over to some space that was available in the building across from City Hall. So he is survived by his wife, daughter, and son-in-law and granddaughter. May you rest in peace, Dr. Lawrence Wilkes. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.